This week on Not Sauce for Work, Terry Tam is off, so Eagle is pulling double duty. On today's show, we go over the comings and goings in the NBA playoffs. One last NFL big name makes some noise heading into the draft, and Iron Mike is still not to be trifled with. We also become the oldest podcast ever, and we discuss Jerry West. We'll get into this and much more on this episode of Not Sauce for Work on the Hot Sauce Sports Podcast Network. Welcome. That's my best Dax Shepard impersonation. I am Pease Delarize. I'm hosting this episode of Not Sauce for Work. I got jealous of his opening Eagle. He's got such a sultry voice.
See, you also have a sultry voice. It's just you forget how to use it at
I
times.
do. So I don't. What happens is I get so engaged in the show that I stop using my radio voice and I just use my regular person voice. But the opposite thing also happens to me in real life. When someone starts talking to me about sports at like a wedding, I start using the radio voice and my wife has to come over and whisper in my ear, "You're being an asshole." And yeah, so that happens sometimes.
But it's because you know so much about sports that you need to share that knowledge
Not
with
at all.
the guest.
It's that I don't know enough, and so I put on the veneer of pretending. So like, and we had this whole argument about it this week in our chat. I'll just air all our dirty laundry. Like I said, like we should celebrate. I actually want a graphic like every month of each of our worst takes, because we were giving Alex the intern a hard time about the Suns take, because like it's easy to say, this guy doesn't care about a winner when he joins a team who struggles, but also that star player makes the team better. So especially in a sport like basketball, where like one player helps the team a lot. And then I said, well, like, come on, like my Devontae Adams take has to be like the worst take of all time, right? Where I said Devontae Adams is not good at football. He just plays with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, you're just wrong.
I've been sent. It's like so many people that we've had as guests on the podcast who are like FPF analysts and stuff. They sent me so many like clips and tape where I was like, no, I'm clearly wrong about this. I'm clearly wrong. But yeah, so I think diving into that is the best way to handle it, because again, that's kind of what everyone does. And like the early 2000s approach to sports media was, don't worry, everyone will forget your takes. And you know, now we live in the frozen takes and takes exposed era of sports media. And so I think the best way to handle that is to dive headfirst into it.
Own your take.
Yeah, exactly. Own your take, exactly. Devontae Adams sucks at football, regardless of information. Eagle, for reasons that should be fairly clear to anyone with a calendar.
No
worries. For reasons with anyone, to anyone clear with the calendar yesterday, I tried a French taco for the first time in my life. Do you know what this is?
I know what a pink taco is. I don't know what a French
that's not
taco
the one.
is.
That's not the one. So they opened up a spot near my place called I don't know, whatever. They're not paying for sponsorship, so who cares what they're called? So I've been saying I want to order from them. My wife was like, no, it looks stupid. And I was like, no, I'm gonna order. I was by myself last night, so I was like, you know what, this is the night.
It is a taco joint.
Yeah, well, it's French taco. So I was like, because it says on the sign, it says authentic French taco.
Okay.
And I said, well, what is that? So I started to do some research. And this is actually a thing. This is French street food from France, which is like born of mostly Lebanese immigrants who've taken sort of the ideas behind like fast food, street food, like French fries and so on. The ideas of like Lebanese wraps, like shawarma and shishtouk and so on, and not actually tacos but burritos. So this thing's massive.
Okay.
And it has meat inside and like vegetables, like like onions and lettuce, and then it has French fries and cheese and like queso sauce.
So this.
Yeah, that's what I had. I couldn't move.
I believe it.
For hours.
You out of all people, too.
What's it like? I try to eat really well. I'm aging and my stomach doesn't do well. So I ordered the extra large one, smashed it, and then had basketball watch me on the couch while I tried to stay awake to watch basketball. And we'll get to basketball in a second because it's been actually the most fun first round I can remember in a long time. So we'll get to that. But so first of all, anyone who has yet to subscribe, please do so. We do enjoy that. The other thing, Eagle, so this broke just as we're preparing for the show. I want to get your thoughts on this. Wimbledon is saying they're not going to have any of the Russian athletes participate in the tournament. I want to know what your thoughts were.
My thoughts are, like usual, this isn't black and white.
Of course not.
I think from a pure athletic perspective, it's a stupid decision because you should want the best athletes in the world competing in the best tournament in the world, or arguably one of, in the sport. On the other hand, I can entirely see how this is going to make the news and then make people who may not give a shit about what's going on suddenly start paying attention, or make those athletes now have to make a stink to their country to potentially put some political pressure. So, I don't think it will, but I understand the rationale of why it's happened.
So there's a couple of things, or the rationale, it's kind of like how sometimes men make rules for women that don't make sense. Specifically when it comes to abortion laws. But so this is kind of like people in democratic nations trying to make rules for an autocratic nation. And the thing is that...
Oh, it's more than that, though.
Well, but Putin...
there's a country engaging in war right now.
Oh, no, I understand. But I'm saying on the other end, so just specifically related to Wimbledon, is that applies zero pressure to Russia.
Oh, yeah.
Zero pressure, because they're not a country who has a democratically elected leader. They're not a country who even cares about the interests of their own citizens, and they treat the government treats their people as bullet sponges. The other part of this for me is that the regular people are not the people engaging in warfare with the Ukraine. That's the stance of the government. It's the same thing to me of blaming China for the coronavirus or anything like that, where it's no, the actions of a government and the will of the people are different. Same thing when it comes to Chinese people and people's stance on the Chinese sweatshops or the Chinese business practices. That is the prerogative of the government and the very wealthy, not the average person in the country.
Oh yeah, and like I said, I don't think any of this pressure tactic is going to work.
Has zero impact.
I have a hunch that the decision to do this was more influenced by, if we don't do this, we're just going to be hearing about it the entire time and get boycotted ourselves.
Which is the wrong,
of course,
reason to do it. And the thing is, the people making those arguments will find the reason to make that argument no matter what you do. Right?
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Yeah, but the difference is I can be sitting in a little white uniform in a multi-million-dollar box watching tennis that doesn't involve anything with Russia at all. So
yeah. You've blocked off my clock, by the way, so you're going to keep track of time during the show.
Oh, it's true. Okay, let me fix this.
I don't even know if it worked for me to hit start. Nope, it did not. So let me know how many minutes we're into the show.
We're at 9.
9 minutes. Okay, that's good. That's and the clock's upside down.
No wonder it's 60.
So many issues today. This one happens when we're running short-staffed. Terry's going to be on vacation for the next 2 weeks. We have a guest co-host next week, so I'm excited to get.
It's not Alex, right?
No, it is
Thank
Matt.
God.
It is Matt McKenzie.
I was going to kill him this week, I swear.
Someone who owns his own takes and understands abbreviations.
What was the other thing that he did? He sent us a Twitter post of a random person saying about how Quebecois are a minority in the world or something. And I'm like who gives a shit about this random Twitter handle? Why are you bothering me with this in the middle of the day? I got work to do.
Yeah. But we have a lot to get to that is not our inner workings. So let's get to it. Terry, it's the news.
Thank you. Keeping the tradition alive.
Always.
Now you say that. I mean, you almost fucked it up. I had to fix it for you.
When Terry was here once, well, because he distracted me because I'm the easiest person on earth to distract.
Very true.
So
very true.
Not, not much for him to hang his hat on there. The NBA playoffs are here, and so the NBA playoffs very rarely sees upsets. And this time of year generally reminds me that NBA Twitter annoys me. And
I mean, Twitter annoys everyone, by the way.
I know that's the point of Twitter, is to have an unpleasant time. But so you see stuff like when they're talking about the Nets and Boston series, where it's like you talk, and there's all these posts, and the post kind of hinted like how well, see, the Nets are losing, ha ha ha. I'm like, they're the underdogs. They're the 7th seed. Like I know they're not a normal 7 seed, but they're still playing the second ranked team in the conference, right? Like that. Nobody thought that was going to be easy.
I think they thought that the Nets wouldn't be an underdog in general, though, right? Like the fact that they're the 7th seed. Well, is the surprising
if they were the 5,
if they had Kyrie playing the entire season,
I mean, it would help. So I was one of those guys it doesn't matter if they play all season. And then I was watching them on offense yesterday. They're just taking turns. It's like this is Kyrie's turn down the court. This is Durant's turn on the court. And Durant first of all he made 0 field goals in the second half. If you look at a shot chart, it's all contested mid-range jumpers, which are the least efficient shot in the NBA. For just the most effortless scorer I've ever seen play basketball to struggle that way is insane. But it's because so Marcus Smart wins Defensive Player of the Year. He's not the best defender on the Celtics. My issue with Smart winning that trophy is not that he's not deserving so much as that he's not even the best. How could you be the best defender in the league if you're not even the best defender on your team?
Because he has the best outfit to go along with it.
That's true. That's true. Here he is walking in to the stadium yesterday, to the court yesterday.
For those who are listening, it is a very nice. Is that turquoise?
You're asking me about color. Forest green, perhaps.
Forest green, emerald green. I can see it.
Emerald, okay.
Looks like a boxer walking into a ring. Honestly,
with the he has the initials DPO.
No, there's a Y there. It's hiding under his armpit.
Is it? Because I was I just thought he was the defensive player of all time, of the week, of the minute, of the Celtics. It's unclear what he's the defensive player of. So their best defender in Time Lord went down, and then
there it is. The Y.
There's a Y. Okay, my bad. He was to me a guy who the stat that he got credit for, by the way, was loose balls recovered. But the stat is about.
I mean, I could win that. Hey-oh.
But so something like 57% of loose balls are recovered on offense on average in the NBA. So that's not a thing. That's not a indicator of defense. So again, he's really good, but it's more the team defense. And we saw Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum was blocked 2 Kevin Durant jump shots. That's a huge deal because of his insane wingspan, because of the way Durant has excellent shot selection, all that. But they haven't been able to do that because of the way the Nets are playing. And now the Nets are hoping to have their savior answer the call, Eagle, and that is the playoff performer that is Ben Simmons. He's the hope.
Yes. And everyone is miserable already.
Except me. So I actually think I think long term that's a good solution for the Nets, but this is a guy who hasn't played all season. The offense looks disjointed. Steve Nash has done nothing to address how the offense plays because literally they're just taking turns on the court. It reminds me of the first ill-fated season of LeBron in Miami, where essentially it was just 3 guys taking a turn up the court. That's not an effective offensive strategy. Now, you allow a guy who can't shoot, great, but the thing he does well is set up open shots, which he can't do if you don't have an offensive system. It helps you with defense. He can guard Jason Tatum, which is a huge load off Kevin Durant, and maybe Durant doesn't look as exhausted in the fourth quarter for that reason because he doesn't have to expel that energy at 35 years old on the defensive side of the court. But yeah, just to think that if he has the opportunity now to turn around the entire narrative of his entire career by playing 2 games, even if they lose, just if he's not terrible.
So if you had to bet on it, would that happen? Do you think he's actually going to pull through on this, or he's just going to prove all his haters right all along? Because you know what everyone's going to say if that game 3 doesn't go well.
Because NBA Twitter doesn't actually watch basketball. Ben Simmons, by the way, is a perennial all-team defender. He in his last full season, he set up more 3-pointers than any player in NBA history. More open 3-pointers in NBA history. He is an exceptional passer and an exceptional defender. He's also not American and doesn't understand the American obsession with offensive basketball. We see this sometimes with European basketball players who come in and for years didn't understand. Like, I remember Andrea Bargnani, who's obviously not the same level of player, but he didn't understand why people had an issue with him taking like outside shots when he's like, I'm not an interior scorer. It's just I've never been this way. Why do I need to play this way? And we see this sometimes with non-American born players because the game is played differently in other parts of the world. But all this to say, I think that if he comes back, he's not playing a full game. He's coming off the bench, and he doesn't help the offense. He helps guard Jason Tatum, and then you still need Kyrie and Kevin Durant to do everything on offense with a disjointed offensive system.
But now you don't have to score as many points to win, ? Like, I think that's kind of the play here, right? It's like you don't have to be an offensive powerhouse. You just have to be better than the other team.
But here's the thing. Boston's much better than the Nets are, like as a team. They overcame a 17-point lead to win yesterday. And then they won at the rim in game 1 because Kyrie is an awful defender, and Kevin Durant just forgot to defend Jason Tatum at the rim.
So what you're saying is they should have kept James Harden.
No, James Harden would not have helped the defense at all. He fouls out last night as we'll watch. Let's watch the last play, by the way. Embiid puts the Raptors on life support. Let's take a look at that last play. Sorry, I'm not doing the show in order, by the way. Whenever Terry's not here for some reason, that's what happens.
Free throw line or in.
And Nick Nurse is telling Van Vliet to get back into the lane, play defense there, because, again, just 0.9 on the shots. Embiid turns, fires for the win. Joel Embiid and the Sixers take game 3 here in Toronto.
Free throw line.
What a shot.
So you heard the call. Great shot by Embiid. But before I get to the 18 things the Raptors did wrong on one single play in an NBA basketball game, people, again, who don't understand the context of NBA basketball, were comparing this to Kawhi's shot against the Sixers.
I mean,
the fact that the Raptors are...
This is a nice shot.
Oh, of course, but just the fact that the Raptors are, even in these games against the Sixers, the Raptors are the worst team. And they've actually exceeded expectations because of the development of Siakam and OG Anunoby, and basically they have 9 defenders who all have a 7-foot wingspan.
And this is the
none of which were there on that shot, by the way.
This is the end of the first overtime, right? So this could have easily gone second overtime against the best team in the Eastern Conference.
This should have gone to second overtime. Here's why. First of all, Embiid, by the way, he increased his 3-point shooting by about 64 points in a single season. That's huge. So he's gotten much better from outside. If you watch the play, and they talked about it in the broadcast we just heard, Nick Nurse waves off Van Fleet, who is defending the inbound. First of all, Van Fleet should not be defending the inbound because he's the shortest player in the court. Secondly, he waves him off, and then Van Fleet goes into the paint. Again, the shortest defender. Now there's nobody defending the inbound. Eagle, when I played basketball, if we ever left the inbounder free at any point in the game, not even talking about the last shot, not talking about overtime, not talking about critical situation, if we ever didn't defend the inbounder, the entire team would run nonstop from the end of that game to the start of the next game. All we would do is suicides and laps. Oh, what do we call suicides in 2022, by the way? Because I feel like you can't do it.
I
feel like
painful runs.
That had to have gotten canceled, right? But like, it's rule 1.1 in basketball: defend the inbound. Defend the inbound. It's the first thing, because what that creates is that now the ball is inbounded to Embiid and it's thrown into his shooting pocket. So he just needs to pivot and shoot. And then
Yeah, the block on that ball is really effortless.
What's it? It's a clean. It's catch. It's playing catch with a guy who's maybe 10 feet away from you. Anybody can throw that ball to anybody. And then Van Fleet's coming over from the paint. I don't know why he was there in the first place, but fine. He makes a hustle play. He's a good foot and a half shorter than Embiid's wingspan. And I don't know if Achua thought Gary Trent would rotate over, but he jogs over. Achua, it's okay to expend a little bit of energy. He kind of walked over. That game should have gone to double overtime. He should have been double teamed in the corner. The inbound should have been defended. Van Fleet should not be the one defending Embiid. Achua is on the court to defend Embiid, and I don't know why he thought Trent would rotate over for that specific. It was just so many. And then, but even at that, why is Achua defending? He's essentially a rookie. I know it's his second year, but he's only really played this season. Why is he the one defending Embiid? All of these things combined to make no sense. There's just a whole bunch of bad decisions by a great NBA head coach.
So what you're saying is they
Lakers
shouldn't have traded for James Harden.
Well, Harden fought out. Harden was on Harden, and that's the other thing. You just need to guard one guy. You just need to guard Embiid because Harden's not on the court. It was such a terrible job by a guy who I consider to be an elite NBA head coach.
So here's the devil's advocate version of this conversation, because he hit a 3-pointer, right?
Yeah.
The game's tied at this point.
Yeah.
So maybe the plan was force them to shoot the harder shot, instead of just dribbling it in and getting a slam or whatever.
But harder than what? You have no time to dribble. A mid-range jumper is less efficient than a 3-point shot. And the guy guarding the 3-point shot is 5'5". Van Fleet's a good defender, but not for that specific type of defense.
Listen, man, I don't know. They even had the advantage of people couldn't play if they weren't vaccinated, right? Because they couldn't come into Canada.
Well, Matthias Thybulle is the best defender on the Sixers, and he can't play because he only got one vaccine. It's nonsense. I don't even understand. But they go down, they lose. Again,
do they have any chance at all? Because they have to win the next 4 to have any you can't drop a
They
game.
had to win. They had to win this one, they didn't play well in Philadelphia. It's fine. Defend your home court and then go back and try and steal one. That's what you got to do in the NBA. They're the underdogs, though. Right? The underdogs don't win in the first round, and it's not surprising because Embiid and Harden are. If you go in snake draft and choosing players, the first 2 guys you're choosing are Embiid and Harden, right? It's the 2 best players. Maybe the 3rd best player in the series is Siakam. And Siakam disappeared in the second half.
So the All-Star Game draft, he should not have gone last then.
He should not have gone last. Despite the excellent troll. The Warriors are good, man. They're up 2-0. They with the Devin Booker injury, which we haven't talked about yet, even though it was first on the script. They are now the odds-on favorite to win the championship. And it's insane that as Draymond Green is aging, he's still defending the way he is because he's shut down Jokic. Again, people dunking on Jokic for being the MVP. The reason he's the MVP is there's nobody else on that team helping him out, and he's being defended by a Hall of Fame defender. What are you even complaining about? The series has gone exactly as expected, and Jordan Poole is starting in place of Steph Curry. Steph Curry's coming off the bench scoring 40+. Klay Thompson's back and playing decently. Draymond is controlling the offense. They haven't even used Kuminga and Wiseman, who aren't ready yet to compete in the playoffs. And the fact that this team is going to be they're going to be as deep as the Heat in 2 years, but still have elite Hall of Fame scoring at the same time is they might be better than they were with Durant in 2 to 3 years. It's insanity to me. Provided as long as Clay and Curry don't completely fall off the cliff before all those other contracts come in.
So what you're saying is they shouldn't trade for Harden.
They shouldn't trade for Harden. They shouldn't trade. Although no, he does not help at all. He gives them nothing they don't already have and makes their defense much worse. They should trade for Ben Simmons, by the way. I thought that would have been a good location, and it almost. I reported on it actually with some decent inside information about how there was a 3-way trade between the Raptors, the Raptors, the
Warriors.
No, wait, the Raptors, Warriors, and the 76ers, and Pascal Siakam was actually headed to the Warriors with
Oh,
Ben
wow.
Simmons. It was going to be a giant trade, but it had them giving up a lot of the young assets plus Draymond Green, which they were not willing to do. So that said, like, you got to pay stuff to get something back, right? So
See, what they wouldn't have gotten had they done that is this beautiful wave goodbye, one of the clips you had in here.
Mm-hmm.
This is quite nice.
He's had enough. He's screaming at Kevin Cutler. And his second tech, Green waves him goodbye. Nikola Jokic has been ejected.
This is the exact
Two
moment
games
where
of
any chances the
frustration
Nuggets had
that
disappeared in
has
this
boiled
game.
over. He wants to be careful now. He does not want to get a suspension headed into home game at Denver. Clearly a foul, but you just can't respond that way. But it's been so many plays in this series where he's been fouled and hasn't gotten the call.
And that's the thing, is the defense on him has been so good, and he's not getting the calls he got in the regular season, that you see the frustration on Jokic, right? That's what that comes down to. I've been on the Suns bandwagon ever since they got Chris Paul. People forget that when the bubble season reopened, they went 8-0 and missed the playoffs because all their young players took a step, but they were so behind they couldn't get into playoff contention. So I've been kind of on the Suns since then, but losing Devin Booker does hurt them. I don't think the Pelicans win anyway, despite a surprise win in Game 2 after Devin Booker scored 31 points in the first half.
And Zion Williamson not being there.
I don't. So okay,
There's got to be something going on behind the scenes, right?
I was talking to Duke, the Graphite Duke, about this. The NBA is an easy league to speculate about because they put all their dirty laundry out front and center, right? You see what's happening, and the motivations are pretty clear. But the thing that I find weird about this is The Athletic reported that there's a difference of opinion as to whether or not Zion can play. So the way I interpreted that headline was, Zion wants to sit out and the team wants him to play. This is like a Kawhi Leonard in San Antonio situation. Then I read the article where it was the opposite, where Zion says, I'm ready to play. You've seen my 360 dunks on Instagram. But the team doesn't want him to play. And so there's been some speculation already so essentially what's happening right now is LeBron's agency, Clutch Sports, runs the Lakers. They essentially run the Lakers.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, to the point where players are getting extensions early because they're with Clutch agency, and it serves no benefit to the team. They have the player locked up. You don't need to extend them a year before they're due. And it is a team already with some cap issues because they're paying Russell Wilson, not Russell Wilson, Russell Westbrook, $45 million or whatever. The CAA is the other big agency. They represent those three stars from Duke that came out of that draft, which is Zion Williamson, Cam Reddish, and RJ Barrett. RJ Barrett already played for the Knicks. They traded for Cam Reddish in a move where everyone was kind of like, that's strange. And now there's been some noise that they want to move Zion to New York. I don't know what New York can even give them that's not RJ Barrett that they'd accept, because all the trades I've seen are nonsense. They won't be able to make the trade. CAA won't make that trade until Zion gets his Supermax extension. He won't get a Supermax extension unless he plays enough games to qualify for that extension, because there's rules. He needs to be like all NBA first or second team, whatever amount. There's a whole bunch of rules.
So you think the team is purposely not letting him play enough games to
But then-
qualify for the Supermax,
but then
so
if
they
he
don't
doesn't
have to
get the
give it to him,
Supermax-
so they can void the trade or at least have more power in it.
But then if he doesn't get the Supermax, he doesn't have to sign the extension and becomes a free agent.
In which case you lose him for
In which case you
nothing.
lose him for nothing. And then even if you don't sign, let's say like you don't sign Supermax and you trade him next season, right? Then the assets you get less because you have to match salaries when you're trading in the NBA. the assets you would get would be less because you're matching less salary. I don't understand. I've never seen something like this where I don't understand the motivation from the team.
Do you think this is just the petty Pelicans where they just don't want to give him what he wants?
Well, but then why did they accommodate Anthony Davis? Right? Like,
yeah.
because they did. We just saw them do this like 2 years ago. Maybe it's like, well, we're tired of seeing stars walk, but he's gonna walk anyway. And having Zion Williamson with CJ McCullough makes them a much, much better team. And by the way, Brandon Ingram could score 45 points like we just saw the other night. So like it's just a strange combination of things.
So just going back to Devin Booker quickly here. Originally, they thought the injury was going to be like a couple games maybe, but now they're talking 2 to 3 weeks.
So he's suffered with his hamstring for 2 years, although this year he was generally more healthy and they sat him out sometime preemptively to make sure that he would be okay. But the median injury time for hamstring is about 8 days, with the average time being about 12 days. So that would look like it's the end of this series. So it's they would probably have him back for the second series. So I'm not willing to bury them. To me, the injury to Chris Middleton affects the Milwaukee Bucks much more than the Booker injury affects the Suns. And the reason why is because if Middleton's not there, Drew Holiday is your second scorer for the Bucks. And so unless Giannis can completely take over, which we've seen him do, of course, we saw him literally win a championship on one leg a few months ago. But the question is whether or not he can do that again against the Bulls team that defensively is actually not that bad. It's very curious to me. I'm wondering if we'll see an actual low seed, upper seed upset in the East.
So what you're saying is they should trade for James
Harden.
Harden.
Trade for James Harden. Yeah, that's the team that could have. Because defensively they were fine. It would have been nice to have some scoring, as it turns out. It would have been nice.
The analysis this week is spot on.
Yeah, the analysis is which team should have traded for James Harden. Maybe the trade should have been to send him to the San Francisco 49ers because Deebo Samuel has started to make some noise.
So the story that's coming out of his camp is that, and there's variations of this obviously because he hasn't actually talked about it, but word on the street happens to be that he doesn't want to be this hybrid running back wide receiver. He wants to be a pure wide receiver in a system that will allow him to do that. And I imagine the plans are to keep him in this kind of like hybrid role, which I don't really understand because doesn't that mean you just get more touches, which means your name gets more promotion, which means you get a better negotiating table seats?
I think it comes down to if he's listed as a running back, he gets, because the salaries went up for wide receivers, if they want to use what's it called when you force somebody to sign against their will, what's that called?
Suicide.
No. We don't call it that anymore. You go. Franchise tag. So if they use the franchise tag as a running back, he would actually make less money than wide receiver. Although that's, that's been kind of recent, right? We've seen running backs get paid more for years and years and years, but we've seen now the salaries of wide receivers with Tyreek Hill and all the others have signed this offseason really drive that price tag
but
up.
see, I think that's the point, right? The wide receiver contracts are so heavy, and the running back contracts are very short term, but also like high money for that role potentially for that short burst. So if you can replace the running back position and demand the wide receiver salary and then ask for a cut of what the running back would get, that's just more in your pocket, right? And that way you're kind of occupying 2 roster spots with one and kind of take all that cash for yourself. So I don't understand.
I think he wants an extension early.
Yeah.
Is all it is. I think he's staying in San Francisco. I'd love for him to go to the Dolphins and be the Dolphins running back, but I don't think he's being moved. I think it's just a ploy to get some money sent to him early. They have a quarterback in Trey Lance on a rookie deal. I would imagine Garoppolo gets cut and they save some money on that contract. Although, as far as I can see, that contract was not structured to get rid of him in the same way a lot of the others contracts we've seen. Like the Baker Mayfield contract is still his rookie contract, so the team basically gets rid of him for free in the final year. So the Garoppolo contract is a little bit more punitive, But with the cap going up, I don't think it matters all that much. Also, like, can we just stop pretending cap hell is a thing in the NFL? I've been hearing that the Rams are in cap hell for like a decade now, and they keep adding players.
Yeah, I always find it funny about how going into this offseason, there was like so many teams that were like $100 million over the cap or whatever it was. And
The
suddenly
Packers.
everyone's fine, right? It's like, how are you doing this cap magic all of a sudden? It just happens. So yeah, I don't really get it either. But someone is a creative accountant, and
Well, but so like the thing is that we've moved away in pro sports from teams being run by fanboys, right? They're being run by people with degrees in finance, and baseball was actually ahead of the curve on that, and the NFL is following suit. Just basketball, you need, just to understand sort of the machinations of the CBA, you need to be in finance to understand how difficult that is.
I feel bad for all those guys that studied sports marketing in college because they're like, you're not getting a job.
No,
Never.
maybe as a
The actuaries from Harvard aren't getting jobs in sports franchises. You're definitely not getting one.
maybe we'll get something for you at Hot Sauce Sports. But yeah,
We have an intern position we're trying to fill.
it's honestly been it's been interesting because like we thought we had an understanding of how teams built rosters, and like the Rams not only flipped that on its head for their own team, but it seems the entire NFL has realized, oh no, this is what you have to do: win for now because there's no guaranteed money anyway, and then on top of that, we also have the opportunity to win, and you don't know how quickly that window can shrink. So let's do that. Let's go that way. And we're seeing that across the league. So I'm curious to see if San Francisco bends to the will of Deebo Samuel. I imagine they will.
Where does he end up?
San Francisco.
You think?
Yeah.
If he doesn't sign there or extend there, do they move him East Coast? Jets?
I might. Well,
Torture land.
the Jets have been trying for every wide receiver that comes on the market. I mean now, and we see this with Kyler Murray too, right? Kyler Murray, the Cardinals GM Steve Keim just said there's zero chance that they trade Kyler Murray, but that thing was very clear to me. That these guys are afraid of getting injured. The guaranteed money in the NFL is not great. They want to get their money as quickly as possible, and they're not thrilled that the union has allowed for a rookie scale, right? So they want the money as early as they can get it. I think especially for running backs, by the way, there shouldn't be a rookie scale because the average running back doesn't make it to their second contract.
Yeah, you burn through the rookies like...
Yeah.
I don't have a good expression for it, honestly.
like I burned
like
I burned
kids
that,
running suicides.
I was gonna say like I burned through that French taco on 420. But yeah, so that's how I see it, Eags. Let's get to rapid fire.
To get to rapid fire, we're going to do about 5 or 6 of them today. The first one we're going to start with more like an iron lung, am I right? One dude had a particularly rough flight after spending a significant amount of time heckling Mike Tyson, of which, first off, why would you ever heckle Mike Tyson for?
Talk to your boss, talk to my boss. What are you talking about?
This is George talking to Mike Tyson, bro. This shit crazy, bro. Mike Tyson. My dog done got lit, man. He over here rapping with Tyson. Mike Tyson trying to give us some shrooms. You don't know how to act. Tyson looking out, man. This shit crazy as fuck.
He should have never gave you his money. Peasants. They're peasants.
JetBlue, net flight. My boy just got beat up by Mike Tyson. Turn that way. Yeah, he got fucked up. Just trying to ask.
I'm sorry, this guy totally fucking deserved it. Don't pick on Mike Tyson. He will punch you. He will absolutely punch you. Why wouldn't he punch you? He gets paid to punch people.
So, and Mike Tyson in his more recent years has gotten like really zen and has like found ways to deal with his anger, but at some point anybody gets annoyed. I don't understand the motivation. This reminds me, like, what's a dumber group of people to you, Eagle? Somebody heckling Mike Tyson, or the people who broke into O.J. Simpson's house to make them think Nicole Brown was there?
Honestly, that's a coin flip. I feel like an awake Mike Tyson is more dangerous than an asleep O.J. Simpson, or potentially not home O.J. Simpson. So
Yeah.
but it's there's a fine line there. I don't know what side I want to be on.
And like, so but why? So if I've seen athletes in regular everyday life. I've seen celebrities in everyday life. At most, I will say hi and acknowledge that I recognize them and then completely move on. I don't want to take their time. It must be awful.
I
for
don't
them.
even do that, honestly. I just like
If it's someone I
avoid them.
really appreciate, I don't even say, hey, thank you for your work. I just say hi. And I move on because they get harassed. Because this shit happens, right?
Yeah.
The reason we can't have a normal conversation with another human we appreciate is because we know they're dealing with this bullshit all the time. But
But we're smart enough to not get punched in the face.
But what gets you to that point? What makes you think it's okay? Is it just the 8 seconds of fame?
Yes, it's got to be that.
But why is fame
that
attractive?
ended up on TMZ Sports.
But-
That's exactly why you do
But
it.
why is fame attractive? Because the height of fame means someone will harass you to the point where you punch them on an airplane. Like, that's what you're striving for, is to eventually be the person who is harassed.
Yeah, it's a good story at a party.
I guess so.
Another good story, form tackle. In a game between North Central Texas and Weatherford, a pitcher reacted to Josh Phillips hitting a go-ahead home run, and it happens to get caught on video because welcome to the 21st century.
North Central has taken the lead here in game one. Oh my! Oh no! Oh no! That was out of nowhere.
It's a nice hit.
Great tackle.
If only this was football.
I hope he plays 2 sports.
Woodward
He
just
should. Kyler Murray
attacking
style.
Phillips right there. And he'll step on home plate and
One more time, just so
I love that they made him step on home plate anyway, with no ribs. All the internal bleeding, you still have to go step on first base because baseball.
Because baseball.
You can see, like, he clearly said something because you see the umpire sort of moving over to indicate something to the base runner. But like, that's a great tackle, man. I got nothing but respect. He turned the guy who hit the home runs insides into soup, and then soup was forced to make its way to home plate.
A little bit of a sad story here. Haskins' wife. The transcript of the 911 call between Drain Haskins' wife and the emergency services has revealed that Haskins left his car to go get gas, and that's why he was walking on the interstate.
That's like defending the inbounder. That's rule 1.1 of highway driving, right? Like, don't get out of your car on the highway.
I mean, also, just fucking call like AAA or something, right?
'Cause you
or
called-
anyone to get you gas.
You called your wife. You can call somebody else to bring gas. You can call a tow truck. You're Dwayne Haskins. You can call a helicopter. I
get that gas prices are a little expensive nowadays, so you didn't want to tank when you saw like it was like $4.50 a gallon or something. You're like, oh, I'll wait a day. But you should also be smarter about running out of gas. Like, you're not Terry Tam.
I was gonna say, is this the reason Terry to come on the show today? Because the only person I know who's routinely running out of gas. Because I know a couple people where it's happened to them once. It's almost happened to me once or twice. But like, the only person who it's actually happened to more than once is Terry Tapp. And he's not here to enjoy the gloriness of this story.
Also glorious here, ultimate wild card. Villanova basketball head coach Jay Wright has announced his retirement at 60 years old after 21 years of coaching basketball at Villanova. So we have
It wasn't at all of Villanova.
True.
He was at Kansas before that.
So there's a clip of
Gives it to Jenkins for the championship.
The ball's in the air and you see him mouth bang to win the game. That's a pretty badass moment. Jay Wright steps on. Like, I understand 60's not that young to retire. It is young for head coaching because it takes you a minute to become a head coach. So like, even if it's been, because I don't think it's been 21 years as a head coach, but if it has been as a 21 years as a head coach, he only got that job at 40, right? So, or 39, right? So like, you would imagine he'd want to hold on to that for a bit. The team's still successful. My thinking is, what happens here? Is it that there are some sanctions coming down, or is he the Lakers' next head coach?
I just think he wants to have his grandchildren run suicides.
No, that Urban Meyer thing of spending time with your family is a bullshit.
Do you think Villanova should have traded for James Harden?
Maybe James Harden, ex-coach of Villanova. Philadelphia and Villanova, it's right there. So maybe. But no, I think because the thing is, people are treating the Lakers job like it's this great job. That roster is a mess. There's no way they're getting a top-tier NBA coach to go. I don't think Doc Rivers will get fired because Embiid will will them past at least the first round. And so I think they're going to have to look to college to get a big-name head coach. I think Jay Wright's the guy.
Clippers need a new coach probably because they've failed to succeed after so
yeah,
many
but
years.
it's tough because like Kawhi's been hurt for 2 years. So like you get the
Yeah, but he's always hurt. And Nick Nurse managed to win, so.
well with Kawhi
Load management.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, but the load management has not worked. He's just not. He missed the entire season. He did not play a minute of NBA basketball this year. That's wild to me.
Next, T.O. for a TD. After this recent touchdown catch for former NFL receiver Terrell Owens, he has suggested that he should get another chance to play in the NFL. I, for one, think this is a great idea.
Now maybe you get one here.
So here's a 1st and 10 on the 11. Likely last play. Horton steps up, throws to the end zone, up for grabs. Hauled in! Terrell Owens, his first catch in fan-controlled football history and his first touchdown. It'll come a little too late, but it's what the Zappers fans were looking for.
We got exactly what we was waiting for, but it was not at the right time. We ended up getting
The Zappers of the fan-controlled football league. The fans wanted Terrell Owens to get a touchdown catch, and they got it. Of course, the saddest moment for T.O. has to be the sentence that it's too little too late for the Zappers of the fan-controlled football league, right? Like, he is 49 in his defense, and he still looks pretty
That was
good.
a nice catch.
Yeah, it's a great catch. The fact that he can still use his body to create separation at 49. My question is, at T.O., I'm sure you really hyped after the game and said you wanted another shot, but how did your body feel the next morning after landing on it
that
way?
ice bath is not the same at 49.
No. Yeah, very different.
And our last topic here, and you're going to have to bail me out here, Logo gets litigious. NBA Hall of Famer has demanded a retraction from.
Sorry, let me say this for you. NBA Hall of Famer Jerry West, the Logo, has demanded a retraction from HBO for his portrayal on HBO's dramatic comedic series Winning Time, based on the 1980s Lakers, which I've seen on the show is excellent. It's also not a documentary. It's very clearly not a documentary. The characters break the fourth wall. There are very comedic moments. John C. Reilly is the star of the show, playing Jerry Buss, former owner of the Lakers. Very clearly, you know who was supposed to play a Jerry Buss Eagle? Just to show you how this is clearly a comedy. Will Ferrell was supposed to play Jerry Buss. So, guys, let's relax. And also, how can you demand a retraction from a TV show? Like, it's not an article.
Was the show directed by Adam McKay by any chance?
It is directed by Adam McKay.
See, that's exactly why it's Will Ferrell would have been in that potentially.
But it's done in his style, right? Where the characters break fourth wall. Where at one point, a coach, a coach from a newspaper article, like the picture of the coach in the newspaper article, is talking to the crowd about Coach Tarkanian. It's the most bizarre thing I've seen. I don't understand how we got to this point where we can't discern the difference between documentary and comedy. Very bizarre. You're asking for a retraction from the guy who did Step Brothers. Did we just become best friends?
I think we did. Yep.
So much room for activities.
And that's our show for this week. Thank you, Terry, for not showing up. So P's had to carry this show.
Hey, listen, it's going to happen. I also have vacation plans too at some point. So at some point, I'm sure Terry will have to bail me out. Terry, I hope you have a great trip. I want to thank everyone who has, of course, liked, subscribed, rated, reviewed, watched, listened to, masturbated towards the show. It's been excellent. That's how we keep the lights on here. So please do continue to do that. We do appreciate you. Eagle, thank you for pulling double duty today. Like, I know you're saying I carried the show, but honestly, it would have been tough to do if I was completely by myself. So you having to produce this show the next show, which we're recording right after this, and be the co-host of the show. That's a lot of work, so I do appreciate that. And I want to thank you all for letting me be myself. You've been listening to Hot Sauce Sports.